Here's a fun project I did last year for Christmas. These made really nice gifts. People seem to enjoy them, so take a look. Have you seen the Christmas trees made out of shims? Just a shim like you have when you put it indoors. It's kind of neat. First thing you need to do is cut a couple, depends on what you want, personal preference. But this size I like to cut into 3 different sizes, pieces. And this one a little bit longer. I can make a taller Christmas tree out of them. So I'm going to cut it, I've already cut them into 4 sections. So now we just need to glue them together, and I'll show you how this works. Each one of these pieces have a slight taper to them, so try to make the smaller point of the taper point up or toward the top side of the tree. Don't have to worry about it being too messy. I'm going to do a little bit of sanding on it before we give it a good stain. The main thing you want to pay attention to when you glue these together is just make sure you have the overlap running the same direction. Kind of like shingles, water running off of a roof. That's basically what we want to do here. Any type of clamp will work. Just try to be sure you have all the joints or laps on the same side. And be sure you have the small points headed toward the top of the tree, or the same direction at this point. Yeah, looks like our pieces have dried, or the glue has set up. So now you have a choice of putting them together or putting some stain on them. So with stain and glue, they don't go together too well. Where you have pieces of glue showing, the stain's not going to soak in quite as good. But to put these together, we have to have a nice tight waterproof joint that's going to seal and hold the epoxy in. So I like to use hot glue for the next step, putting it together, and that definitely won't take stain. If you're going to paint these pieces, you can glue them together next and then paint it. I like to stain it first and then hot glue it together. The joints just look better, in my opinion, but that's the way we're going to do it tonight. So I'm going to get my stain ready, and then we'll get that started. On the smaller tree, I went ahead and stained it. I had a green, light green stain. It didn't come out too bad on that. On the larger tree, I decided to go ahead and glue it together first with the hot glue, and then I used spray paint to paint the bigger tree. For the bottom of the tree, I used a slightly wider board, piece of plaster lath. Worked really good. It's a little bit wider, gives it a little more stability when it's standing up, but that worked pretty good for the base. Okay, I have these sanded down on the back side. So I'll take a cotton swab and re-stain this on the back. So the thing I like about staining it first is after you sand it, or while you're sanding it, you can make sure you can see fresh wood. I know I have this flat, it's going to fit flat onto the board, so the epoxy is not going to leak out quite as easy. This one I'm going to paint. When I sanded it down, you can see it, but it's a little bit harder to see when you have it all the way sanded smooth. So, personal preference, whatever you like. So, this one I'm ready to paint, and this one I need to hit that again. But before I do, I have to cut a notch in them for my wire, for my lights. So, this particular type of battery operated light, I'm going to put these inside for the lights, and I need to cut a notch so the wire can fit inside there. So that's how I choose to get the lights in. So let's cut that and see what we can do. So everything's dry, and I needed to get a board, a solid piece, to put these on. So we need to get ready to pour our epoxy. So if I put epoxy straight in here, it's going to stick to that wood, and that's not what I want. So if we cover it with a piece of cellophane, that epoxy won't stick to it. So this is going to fit on this one. Same thing for the next one. I used hot glue to glue the wire into the notch, and it also helped seal the rest of the notch so my epoxy is not going to leak out. Before I clamped the frame down to the wood, I put a piece of cardboard below the cellophane, and that gives a little bit of cushion, so when you put the clamps on, it can make a better seal. You can pull the cellophane tight as you put the clamps on, and if you can't pull it from inside, you have a pretty good seal with the clamps. Next, it's time to mix up the epoxy and pour that in. There's a lot of good videos out there on how to mix epoxy, but it's a video in itself, so we're not going to cover that today. This first coat of epoxy is just to seal the back side of the Christmas tree frame that we made. You can put another coat of epoxy on right away if you get it when it's still sticky, which it is right now. Otherwise, you need to sand it down, rough up the surface before you lay another coat down. So, the lights go in next. Turn those on so we can see what's going on. Now I've taken these and just kind of wadded them in there before, and it works okay. But they kind of keep trying to come to the surface and not that neat. I found it works a little bit better if you take a piece of cardboard. This is from a cereal box, and just kind of wrap around the tree and wrap around the cardboard. I can have it cut in a tree shape here. Just go back and forth and get it the best that we can. Alright, slide that cardboard out. It's in somewhat of a Christmas tree shape. Kind of have heavy lights here, no lights over on this side. So let's move something just a little bit here.
If you have trouble getting the lights to fit down into the frame or stay down there, you can take the Christmas tree cardboard you just took it off of, lay it on top and smash them down that way. That seems to help a little bit. Next, it's time for another coat of epoxy. This is going to fill in around the lights, not totally going to cover them, but we have to take baby steps with this. With epoxy, you get a lot of bubbles in it when you mix it up, so a heat gun or a torch helps pop the bubbles. You have to go over it a couple of times to get the big bubbles out.
Alright, second coat's in and set up. So, time for my next coat. We can take this cellophane off now. And you can see it comes right off really nice. I don't know if you can tell, there's a nice clear, thin, clear part you can kind of see through when we turn the lights on. Hopefully you'll be able to kind of tell what that might look like. But we have to put another layer or two in there. You can only pour this particular type about 3/8 of an inch thick at a time. So that's good. We can get that worked off of there. So not a problem. Alright, I'm going to mix up some more epoxy. And put some more inside our molds. So, all the epoxy is dry on these, and they don't look too bad. You can see with that light coat of coloring on the first seal coat we put on, doesn't look too bad through there. I tried something new with this one, new to me. I used the white for the background on that first coat. A little more opaque. The only thing I don't like about it is you can see the green wires on the lights. I should have used one of these with silver wire or gold. The only problem with that is they have the clear lights on those. Personal preference, I prefer the colored lights. So anyway, you can see what little difference it makes, or what difference it does make, just using the different color on the background there. And then this one's stained compared to painted after it's glued together. This was stained before it was glued. So hope you like it. Give you an idea, I hope, of something you can do. Works really good for gifts or just to sit around on the mantle or something like that.
I hope you like our video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please take the time to do so. That really helps us out with the search engine and things that YouTube uses. Thank you for watching. If you ring the bell, we'll let you know when the next video is out. See you then.